flair and a whole lot of heart into this room for Lou. It's Tony. So Tony, please help me welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you. You're a beautiful audience. Lou would be so honored to see all of you here. I have no doubt. Unlike the honor guy, or the nurse honor guy who said that we had an Elvis impersonator. I'm not actually an Elvis impersonator. I'm a friend of Lou's and Mary's. And Mary wanted this to be about fun, and she asked me to come dressed as Elvis because Lou loved Elvis. And I couldn't say no, so Elvis is fun. And they say, if you've ever heard anything about public speaking, it's not high on the list of a lot of things to do. And I challenge anybody to do it dressed as the king of rock and roll. So, having said that, I've got Lou's flask right here. I bring it to our house all the time. I'm going to do a shot of courage, and I'm going to ask all of you to raise a glass, and let's do a toast to Lou here right off the bat. To Lou. That's bourbon. I got some notes. Brian, if you don't mind, I left my notes there on the table. Can you bring them to me? But Lou, what can you say about Lou? Lou enjoyed life. He enjoyed bourbon and cigars. He loved the work he did. He loved his friends. He loved his family. And he loved Mary. And I remember last summer, Mary was out of town for a long weekend. And Lou called me up on the phone and he asked if he can come up and hang out with us for the weekend. I said, of course. And he showed up with his overnight bag, some incredible 2-inch thick Costco ribeye steaks, bottle of bourbon, of course some Geta for breakfast, because Lou loved his Geta. And that was one of the great things about Lou. He never showed up empty-handed. And we were hanging out that evening. We're on the patio, smoking a cigar, drinking some bourbon, listening to some music. And Lou started talking about how much he missed Mary. Said he was going crazy in that house without her. That's why he wanted to come stay with us. He literally said he didn't know what he would do without her. And I respected his honesty and integrity. Most men don't really talk like that, and I respected him being so real. And my heart goes out to Mary, because now she's without Lou. And I think I can say honestly, for all of us, if you ever need anything, we'll be here for you. Anyone who knows us, my wife Mary, and me, if you come up to our house, it's usually going to be a bit of a party. And when, yeah. So usually when Mary and Lou would come up to our place, it wouldn't just be for the night, it'd be an overnight thing. They had their own bedroom at our place. And it'd be at least overnight, sometimes it'd be for the weekend. And the weekend before Lou found out he was sick was one of those nights. We had a lot of fun. In fact, you know, Lou's son-in-law was talking about the trip that was being planned for the spring. And for a good part of that night, he was on the computer, you know, making the travel arrangements. And I'm like, Lou, when are you leaving for this trip? Thinking it might be like in a day or two. I'm like, well, it's not until April or something like that. But that's the kind of guy he was. He wanted it to be right. And like I said, the weekend before Lou found out he was sick, it was one of those weekends. And we had a really good time. Woke up the next morning, had some breakfast, some of his geta, of course. And right before they left, we hugged each other. Lou said, love you. I said, love you too. And that was my last memory of Lou alive. Seeing him in person. We both said we love each other. I think it was the next day, maybe the day after that he found out he had the brain tumor. So, my last memory of Lou was of love. When I think about Lou, I think about the good times. I'll tell you a little story here. We were on vacation together in Rome. My wife Meredith, her yoga instructor, Lori Panel, he's a friend of ours, had just got back from Rome. And she knew that we were getting ready to go. And she told us about this bar called Wisdomless. She said it was the most amazing bar she'd ever been at in her life. And said we had to go there when we were in Rome. So after a day of sightseeing, my father-in-law, Big Dave over there, my son Jackson, Mary, Lou, my wife, and me, we went to this restaurant called Domea Pataka. And that was one of the best times I ever had in my life. I have a video of it on my Facebook page. There was a little band playing right behind us, playing That's Amore. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore. And I was filming it, and Lou was sitting there. He had a glass of wine in his hand and was sloshing around. Mary was dancing, and I filmed the entire song, and it was just an amazing night. And after that, we dropped Grandpa and my son off at the room, and Mary and Meredith and me and Lou, we headed out to find this bar, Wisdomless. And, you know, when Lori described it to us, she said it was the coolest bar she'd ever seen, which it was. And they had, you go in there, there was a big bar with a glass front, and there was like a full stuffed alligator on the walls. There were stuffed boa constrictors. I mean, it was just this amazing place. And she also mentioned that you could get a tattoo at the bar. And we got there, and after a little while, Mary and Meredith went downstairs because they heard there was a disco nightclub that was part of it that's supposed to be really cool, and they wanted to check it out. So as they're heading down, Meredith grabbed the waiter and said, "He wants to get a tattoo." She pointed at me. And started laughing. The guy nodded, I nodded back, because when in Rome, the girls headed off, and where Lou and I sat, drinking probably the most beautiful cocktails I'd ever seen in my life. They were colorful and really expensive, and, but they were amazing. We got there and we sat down, and they handed us these cocktail menus, and it was just these like 4 or 5 drinks, and I'm thinking, well, maybe this is all you get. And so we ordered them, and then come to find out they had beer and other stuff that you could get. So we had one of those beautiful cocktail drinks, and we're sitting there, and the bar, it was like rich mahogany furniture, a fireplace, really beautiful bar, and we happened to be sitting next to what looked like the Russian mafia. They were taking up a couple sofas around the fireplace and talking real quiet. And, anybody that's ever been to Europe, they're not very loud people, they kind of talk quiet. And so we're sitting there, and I'm looking at them, and they're looking pretty scary. And anyone who knows Lou knows he has kind of this big booming voice, And Lou was going on about something or other, and I kept looking at the mafia, and they kept looking at us, and these damn loud Americans. And just then, as I was thinking that they might come over and kill us, the waiter came by and he asked if I wanted to get a tattoo, and which may have saved our lives. And I told him, yeah, sure. And he came back with a book that was filled with tattoo options, and I really didn't see anything I liked. But since Lori, the yoga instructor, had told us about it, I thought it'd be cool to get a tattoo of a yoga frog. And in our backyard, we have a pretty big statue of a yoga frog. He's like cross-legged. And so I went online and I pulled up a few pictures and found one that looked like that and showed it to the guy, and he went back and showed it to the tattooist, and he came back and told me that he could do it. And he came back and said it'll be $100 up front. So I pulled out my credit card and I handed it to the guy, and he said we only take cash for the tattoos. And I was a little apprehensive about getting the tattoo anyways. So I was like, oh well, no big deal. Just then, Lou boomed it. I have cash. He pulled out his wallet, started pulling out some bills, saying, I mean, who am I to deny a man his drunken ambition to get a tattoo in a bar in Rome called Wisdom Looks? And he was laughing as he said it. And I was laughing too. So off I went to get the tattoo. I left Lou sitting there by himself next to the Russian mafia. Mary and Meredith were downstairs in the disco, dancing away. And I went to like this back room to get the tattoo, and I have hairy legs, so he shaved like a little rectangle. where the little frog sat in the bald spot, perfectly framed.
Show us!
And, but which for more than a few feet away, because the tattoo's only about this big, $100 for a tattoo this big. But for more than a few feet away, it looked more like a little penis. Like and then the legs crossed, looked like a penis head and some little balls. And so we named my tattoo Penis Frog. Which to this day, every time I look at it, I can't help thinking of Lou, associated with my penis frog. And that's who Lou was. He was a great friend. He was generous. He had a great sense of humor. And I miss him dearly. And I'm glad I made it through this. I'm glad I didn't have to follow Mary Catherine, because I started crying over there, looking at the pictures and her song. And that's really all I have to say, other than, maybe let's do one more toast to Lou before the next speaker comes up. To Lou. And again, I want to thank all of you for being here, because Lou would be so honored. I mean, you'd be amazed. Thank you. Thank you very much.